My name is Dawson. I'm 23 this year and I struggle with anxiety, depression and suicidal thoughts since October last year.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm 26 this year. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in year 2022.
My name is Samuel. I'm 19 this year, and last year in 2022, around June, I was diagnosed with mild depression, and then in late August, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
My struggle with anxiety began with a friendship conflict. It started with some tension in a friendship. In that tension, it brought up a lot of insecurities from the past and things that I didn't feel very safe in during my childhood. I didn't feel very emotionally safe and provided for in my family. And I think that tension with my friend brought up a lot of these insecurities in my life. And I think eventually that led to anxiety. There was one night last year when I just woke up in the middle of the night. My heart was pounding and felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt very dizzy and I didn't know what was happening. I thought like I was having a heart attack. I asked myself if I was gonna die or anything. I didn't know what to do as well. And since then, I would have panic attacks from time to time. There were times that I suddenly felt triggered in a social setting and I would feel like very anxious and dizzy. This eventually led to depression where I felt like I couldn't be part of the world. I felt like all the people in this world are very happy and I cannot be part of them.
In 2021, I lost my dad to suicide. After the accident, I realized that I was very afraid to be alone at home. I'll be scared of my kitchen, I will have anxiety at night, my heart will beat very fast. I feel like throwing things, smashing things, and I also feel like crying. I just wanted to let out all the fear in me. This is where I felt that something was not right in me. Like, why am I having nightmares? Why am I having all this anxiety? So I went to seek help and I was found out that actually all these symptoms that I'm facing is the signs of Thir.st.
So around May of 2022, I started having a lot of insecurities and a lot of anxieties over my relationships with my friends. And ruminating on those insecurities really caused me to spiral into depression. I'll say that it left me feeling incredibly betrayed, traumatized, and just generally worthless about myself. And so, really, because of that incident and the months after that, I started developing a lot of post-traumatic symptoms, and eventually that was how I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
I think the most challenging time going through my struggle was the start of this year. I think at that point I have really dealt with anxiety and depression for quite a while, and I thought that things should have gotten better. I thought that I should have made some progress. There were times that people did show up for me and help me, but I think even after all this, I kept falling back into the same cycle of struggles, and I think that made me feel very frustrated. I was very angry at myself for kept struggling. I was angry at myself that I still haven't recovered, and I felt like I was a burden to the people around me. I felt like I was a burden to this world. And I think that is also where the thoughts of wanting to end my own life came in. I wanted to just give up, and perhaps it would make things easier that I wouldn't need to try so hard.
The most challenging time of going through the struggle was actually going to the kitchen alone at night. Yeah, so it's like I will feel very nervous. Every time I walk through the kitchen, it reminds me of like the scene, the accident scene and all, and my heart will beat very fast.
I think the most challenging time for me was when I felt like even though there were people wanting to counsel me and they're supporting me, I never really felt understood. And I felt as though like, even though I really wanted to recover, I believed that God would heal me. But it's like, why am I still not yet healed? And why is there still so many bad things going on in my life? There was stuff that was said about me by other people that I internalized, and because of that, I felt deeply worthless.
I think the time when I really felt a breakthrough was during my church conference back in May. Actually, how I felt prior to that conference was quite the same. I felt quite hopeless, quite defeated. But I think during that conference, one thing that God reminded me of is how He has always reached out to me and pursued me time and time again in my struggles, even in my thoughts of wanting to end my own life. I think as I recall, I see how in those moments when I really wanted to give up on my life, He has always sent people to reach out to me. I think seeing all these moments reminded me of how God has really pursued me relentlessly, and He has never given up on me.
Renovation helps me to have a breakthrough with my healing. We actually change all the memories with our family. We change all the old memories away, and then we create a new memories to it. After renovating my house, I realized I feel less anxiety when I go to my kitchen at night. I will turn on the kitchen counter light at night to help me cope better with my anxiety. And every day I will expose myself to the scene instead of running away, because in the past, before my house renovation, I actually don't dare to use the toilet in my kitchen. I will use my parents' room toilet. But now after the renovation, I pluck out the courage to go to my kitchen toilet. The second thing that I had a breakthrough was actually documenting all of my healing journey. And I write down all my struggles, how did I overcome every single one of it. When I look back of all my struggles, it makes me realize how much I grow and I be kinder with myself every time I have the anxiety. I also document all the things that I learned from my therapy classes, because I will go for counseling session and with my psychologist. So they will help me to process of all my thoughts.
This major breakthrough came towards the end of the year, where I was in a gathering with my cell group, and suddenly I just felt this sensing from the Lord to travel 45 minutes all the way to where my dad's church was. And so I traveled all the way there, and I was like, oh God, are you really gonna speak to me? And so when I came to the church and they were having the last night of their youth camp, I remember seeing so many youths just worshiping God and just hugging one another. And there were some youths that were crying, and other youths were just there comforting them, putting a shoulder around them. And it was as if God was telling me, there were many people who had hurt you, but there are other Christians who are, so deeply loving and who are there for you. And they're willing to be there supporting you. And so don't focus on the people who hurt you. Focus on those who love you. And that really sort of recovered my faith in God.
One encouragement I received from my friend that was memorable to me would be this time. There was this time when my friend told me this. He said, I won't be able to always journey very closely with you, and I might not be able to always respond to you immediately when you reach out for help, but I will always be here. I will always remain as your friend till the end. So I think that meant a lot to me, because it wasn't just words that he said carelessly, but I think it was words that he has carefully thought through and has said as a commitment.
One encouragement that I received from my friends was during the funeral, because back then it was very difficult for my family. It was very raw, and then we were very lost. And I remember I was asking my church friends and the leaders, why do you come down to my dad's funeral to help us? Why do you all want to support us? And I remember that the answers that they gave was, they just wanted to be with my family. They just want to walk through with us through this difficult journey. So when I heard this, I was very touched and I felt very loved. It makes me feel what it means to have a church as a family.
Still remember clearly, a week after I was diagnosed with PTSD, I was in school with a friend, and my friend knew about what I was diagnosed with and what I was going through, and we had this talk. And towards the end, he prayed for me, and I just remember him just telling me, God's got your back. God's got your back. And right then and there, I almost felt like I wanted to break down, because that was such a strong reminder that even when I feel so lonely, even when I feel no one understood me or fully understood me, even though I don't necessarily feel like I have the support that I ideally wanted, but ultimately God's got my back.
I feel that the friends can be just a listening ear to the friends struggling with mental health. It actually helps the person going through mental health to feel that they are not alone.
You may not be the most well-educated or knowledgeable regarding all these issues, but when you see someone is struggling, just try to put yourself in a person's shoes, and you may not be 100% accurate in really understanding, hey, why is this person thinking this? Why is this person feeling this? But it's really all about wanting to offer a helping hand. I think one major realization that the Lord gave me was that I was really caught up in a victim mentality. The Bible says in 1 Samuel 30 verse 6, David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. And when I read that, I was like, wow, like this guy, is a different circumstance, but I can certainly relate to him. And yet, David didn't try to find strength in other people's support. David didn't try to find strength in good circumstances. David found strength right in the middle of a bad circumstance. He strengthened himself in the Lord his God. And so reading that really allowed me to just simply see myself as an individual with God. Jesus Christ gave me this victor mentality to know that because of him, I can be empowered and I can overcome and recover.
Through this process, I learned to be kinder to myself. I learned to be patient with myself. Because every time I go through the struggles, I always felt that I walk one step forward and two steps backwards. So I always remember what my counselor tell me, that it takes time and it's normal to have ups and downs. That every time the same anxiety comes up, I will tell myself, it's okay, let's try again. And I also saw how my mom encountered God in her own way. So I felt that throughout this whole journey, that when everyone blamed God for all the things that happened in their life. But for me, I'm just very thankful like how every step of my way, God really provided like every single person and how. And then today, really seeing how like what the devil meant for evil on the day of accident, today we saw how God turned it around for good. And then my whole family is like planted in church, that we encounter God in our own ways, and we have a great like journey with God also.
Something that I've learned in the process of navigating these struggles is that I think patience is really very important when it comes to dealing with mental health. I think firstly is to be patient with myself, to not give myself a time limit that I need to recover by. I don't condemn myself when I seem to be struggling, but give myself the space to heal and also to grow. And I think second is also to be patient with the people around me. I think it's okay that people don't know how to journey with us immediately when we struggle with mental health, but I think what matters is that these people stick by and they continue to learn and figure out how to journey with us. I think that shows that these are the people who truly care and love us. And I think lastly is to be patient with God, allow God to do His work in me. Through this whole journey, I really come to see how God's grace is sufficient and how His power is truly made perfect in weakness. Though sometimes it's really very tough and very painful, I think God is really molding something beautiful and God is really bringing beauty out of ashes. Yeah, I find a lot of encouragement from this verse from Job that says, "But He knows the way I take. When He has tested me, I will come forth as gold."